Hi folks, welcome to Patrick's Scale Studio. My name's Patrick, I'll be your host. While I am working on USS Fletcher and getting some beginning content put together here to get out there, wanted to go ahead and throw out a quick review here of Dragon's USS Ohio in 1/350th scale. It's a U.S. nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine. SSBN 726, in fact. And currently today it is not an SSBN, it is an SSGN. The distinction between her no longer carrying ballistic missiles but carrying guided missiles. Go ahead and show what's on the side here. Kind of some finished pictures of the model here with very bright red paint. Modeling it as a C4 or a D5, and I'll get into those differences later. The box ends are the same as the box top, and then we get a quick blurb here in multiple languages. I like my little brass pedestals, but I'm going to go ahead and open the box and we'll have a look from there. Alright, so as we can see, the box is fairly large for what's contained inside. It doesn't look like... I did take the plastic off of this and examine, because when I originally plopped it down on my desk, kind of, I felt a lot of this. And I just kind of wanted to see if there was anything broken that was going to surprise me. Fortunately, it doesn't look like anything is broken off of the sprues or anything like that. But we will review all of this here shortly. Let's go ahead and look at our instructions first. So we got this kit from squadron.com, and I got it for $33 US, which is fantastic. Fantastic price, considering that actually he looks like he has that marked down by about 25%. So that's a good sale price. And Dragon actually started reissuing these after kind of a hiatus on putting these out there. As I understand from what I was reading online, this kit was hard to find, and when it found, it was expensive to get. So I'm glad they put it back out here. I live in Ohio, born in Ohio, raised in Ohio, so I always like kind of seeing if I can find subjects that kind of reflect on me a little bit here. So USS Ohio, Modern Sea Power Series, and it's got a little bit more information about it right there. So, thought I felt the decals in there. We'll look at these here in a minute. Go over the instructions briefly. So step one, it has us putting together the sail with the antenna and what have you in the either extended or retracted positions. It looks like these sail planes here does not have you glue them in, and it looks like they kind of attach to one another, so they will be movable in tandem. Step two, looks like we are moving into the area where we're working on the missile bay here. It looks like you've got two options here. You can either model a C4 or a D5, and this is referring to the missiles that the ship would have carried. Something interesting to point out is it actually tells you, depending on which hull number you wanted to build, whether it be carrying C4 or D5 missiles. Only 8 were ever designed to carry the C4 missiles, and of those, I believe these 4 right here, Ohio, Michigan, Florida, and Georgia, were the 4 converted over SSGN, so now they carry guided missiles and not ballistic missiles, something that this kit is not designed to represent. But you can model it as either if you're modeling the Ohio, it's going to either be a C4, or you can have those hatches splayed open to show the C4 missiles, or you're going to want to have them all closed. But you can build others here, like the Alabama that was converted. It could be a C4, it could be a D5. and it's going to be either of those two. It won't be the SSGN. If it doesn't make sense, apologies. It's just everything I read off of Wikipedia about these really amazing pieces of machinery. But at any rate, it's giving you the options here for the different missiles. So if you were going to model the Ohio and you want to display things open, you would go with this option right here with the C4 missiles. As you can see, it's got a couple wells here where you can put the missiles into as well. And then it has you can place caps, and kind of looking over some of the sprues, it looks like you have enough to have, like the box said, every single hatch open, and you can have a missile top displayed. There's only, I think, 2 or 4 of each of the actual missiles here if you wanted to try to display them in flight or being launched. So then step 3 is the torpedo tubes and torpedo doors, and it gives you the option to have these open or closed. Closed, open. The open also has kind of a little bay that goes behind it to hold the torpedoes in. Step 4, looks like there's the screw, and it looks like this is set up so it is you can spin it. And it looks like these are, I believe, the dive planes, maybe. Step 5 now has you starting to put all the major assemblies together here along with the rudders. As you can see, the hull halves, top and bottom, and then you've got this piece that goes over the top that kind of shows off where all these little missile tubes are. And putting the sail into place. Step 6, we have the SH-60 Seahawk helicopters. Then we can go over here and kind of see the different color callouts here depending on what missiles it is that your ship carried if you're having those hatches all open. And that right there is the assembly for having all of your hatches open if you wish to do it that way. Black and white photo here of the kit in its entirety. And there are color callouts right down here. And it looks like these are all in Mr. Color and Mr. Color Aqueous. So you'll have to find some online paint conversion tables if you wish to go outside of these. Go over to the back side here. Here is the painting and marking guide. Depending on when you're going to be modeling your USS Ohio or whichever hull number you are looking to model, this right here may vary a bit. The picture I actually saw of USS Ohio in dry dock had this red anti-fouling paint, and it was closer to halfway up, not so far up all the way. I've seen other models online by different companies, other people's finished projects, and this is all over the place. I've also noticed that later on during these submarines' existence, the hull was completely black. There is no longer a red anti-fouling. So make sure you research your hull number and the time period and adjust your paint scheme accordingly. Gives you a painting guide for the SH-60B Seahawks. Now when I briefly saw how big these are, I mean, they're like that. It's almost laughable that you would be getting a lot of this masked off. Same thing here with the torpedoes and the nuclear missiles. Looks like these are all decals here for your antenna, scopes, and what have you. Turn it over. And the very last page here is just the sprue map. So I'm going to go ahead and put that aside and have a look at the decals real quick. Happy to see the decals were nestled inside of the instructions on top of everything in the box. So these did not get any kind of damage or anything like that from the contents of the kit moving around. These are cartograph decals, and it says so right there. And it looks like you have enough numbers to model the ship number from the class, any ship number from the class. It looks like there's the antennas for those, for the scope and for the antenna. At the hull depth markings right here. There are surprisingly quite a few decals here. And a lot of them are very, very tiny. It looks like these are going to be going in for the Seahawk right here. It's more Seahawk. But yeah, these look like they will snuggle down fantastic over a clear coat. Cartograph decals are supposedly the best, so when we get to that time, we'll see. All right, and then we're moving on to the actual kit contents. Go ahead and open this guy up. All right. One thing I read about online is these can be rather difficult to get lined up properly, so I am happy to see, though, that there are little shelves here in order for this to kind of help align. It's pretty basic. Looks like just a gigantic gray cigar with some lines. The upper half of this hull. Here's the that texture that the box mentions as kind of a feature. You imagine a little 1/350th sailor walking around on there. That might be a touch overdone. These are the 24 missile tubes. All in all, it's pretty good detail here. There's not really a lot of flash. These sprue gates are enormous, though, so there will be some careful cleanup there, especially with the semi-rough texture of this. The lines here are okay. They're not fantastic, but really deep panel lines at 1/350th would be super out of scale. This is nice, though. All of this is molded on one piece instead of you having to combine these and deal with seams. We'll put back in there. There's not a lot of parts to this. It's a pretty basic build. Should be interesting. All right, move on to another sprue here. All right, looks like this is the last major part of the hull. It did kind of come off, so I'm going to have to deal with a little divot out of that plastic. I think that would have been better just to extend it all the way. But yeah, again, you can kind of see there's a little bit of a texture. It would be like an anti-skid for the crew to walk on. And in fact, each of the doors should kind of have something similar, but again, it's hard to justify molding that at 1/350th and it being accurate to scale. So we've got some teeny tiny antenna. These are really nice and thin, and I'm happy to see virtually flash free, with the exception of that right there. But as thin as these are, it looks good. I've heard a lot of complaints, or seen a lot of complaints online about this screw right here not being the proper shape. So you probably have to thin that out a little bit and maybe try to reshape these blades so it's a little bit more appropriate. Here are the missile tube recesses that would go underneath here, or underneath actually in the hull halves for nuzzling the C4 and D5 Trident missiles. So we have the sail parts here. There's the top for either your completely stowed antenna and scope, or if you want to show those in the up position, that right there. Torpedo doors, closed position there. Torpedo doors open position there, along with the recesses for them. And this is kind of nice. I like how Dragon did this, where they've got these posts right here to kind of protect the screw shaft. Alright, let's go ahead and get him put away. Nothing overly complex on this kit, so this would be nice. Alright, and here is, you get two of these screws. I'll just put this one aside here. This is half the parts for the display stand, if you're going to use the display stand. The halves of the Seahawk, along with its landing gear, main rotor, tail rotor, torpedoes. There's the D5 Trident missile, C4 Trident missile. I think these are all the pressurized caps for the missile tubes. These are the outer doors for the missile tubes. If you're displaying all of this open, then these are going to be the missile tops that you can put directly on the top of the upper half of the hull. But you get two of these, and there are 24 of the outer doors, 24 of the hinge pieces, 24 of these pressure doors, and 24 of these missile tops. So you could display your model with all of the missile doors open and just showing these ready to go like they're out there for inspection. You can do a mix of, it looks like 22 open with these tops, and two with the actual C4 missiles being launched. Kind of up to you. They really did give quite a bit of option here as far as how you want to depict that. Some modelers like their battleships with all their guns and everything like that at the ready and looking, like they're aimed off to the side, ready for a broadside. So why wouldn't you want to try to do that with a ballistic missile submarine? Or you might want to display everything closed up like she's ready to run silent. Alright, well, that wraps up the review. If you've got any specific questions about anything I reviewed in the kit, please feel free to ask in the comments below. If you have any feedback on the review or anything I can get doing better, please let me know that as well. Stay safe and happy modeling.